Be prepared. Today is not just another day. In fact, if you woke up this morning feeling like something fundamental has shifted, like reality itself has taken on a different weight, you're not imagining it. Because right now, at this very moment, something is happening in the sky that only occurs once in a lifetime, and it's already changing you whether you realize it or not. Today, January 23rd, 2026, the Sun is meeting Pluto in the most intimate way possible. And when I say meeting, I don't mean passing by. I mean merging, fusing, becoming one in a rare cosmic event called a Cazimi. This isn't just another planetary alignment. This is the universe performing open-heart surgery on your soul. But here's the thing, most people will go about their day completely unaware that they're walking through one of the most spiritually significant portals of the entire decade. They'll feel the pressure, the intensity, the strange pull towards something they can't name, but they won't understand why. You, however, you're about to understand exactly what's happening and why it matters. And if you've been feeling an almost unbearable urge to burn your old life down and start completely fresh, keep watching. Because there's one specific reason this is happening to you right now, and I'll explain it later. But first, you need to understand something crucial. This isn't just affecting everyone equally. There are 3 zodiac signs that are about to experience what can only be described as a total rebirth. And if you're one of them, your life is about to change in ways you never saw coming. The cosmic alignment that happens once in 248 years. Let me paint you a picture of what's happening right now. The Sun, our source of life, consciousness, and identity, has just entered Aquarius. But it didn't enter alone. It walked straight into the arms of Pluto, the planet of death, transformation, and absolute power. Pluto doesn't visit Aquarius often. In fact, it only spends about 20 years in this sign every 248 years. The last time this happened, the late 1700s, the era of revolutions, of the Declaration of Independence, of humanity declaring its freedom from tyranny, and now Pluto is back in Aquarius, and today the Sun has caught up to it. But this isn't just any conjunction. At exactly 5:30 this morning, the Sun and Pluto merged at 3 degrees and 25 minutes of Aquarius. And here's where it gets wild. They didn't just meet, they became one. Pluto entered what ancient astrologers called the Cazimi, the heart of the Sun. Think about what that means for a second. Pluto, the planet that rules the underworld, the shadows, everything we bury and refuse to look at, it's sitting on the throne of the king. It's being purified by solar fire. The darkness isn't being destroyed, it's being integrated into the light. And just to make sure this energy has maximum impact, Mars, the planet of action, aggression, and raw will, entered Aquarius just 71 minutes before the Sun met Pluto. 71 minutes. That's not a coincidence. That's the universe lighting the fuse. This is what astrologers call a triple trigger event. The Sun, Pluto, and Mars all converging in Aquarius within the same morning. If you've been feeling like you're standing on the edge of a cliff, about to jump into something completely unknown, now you know why. What Cazimi really means and why it changes everything. Let's talk about this Cazimi phenomenon because most people have never even heard of it, yet it's the key to understanding why today feels so intense. In traditional astrology, when a planet gets too close to the Sun, it's considered combust, burned up, weakened, blinded by the Sun's overwhelming light. But there's a sweet spot, a sacred zone within 17 minutes of arc from the exact degree of the Sun, where something miraculous happens instead. This zone is called the Cazimi, an Arabic term meaning in the heart of. When a planet enters the Cazimi, it's not destroyed by the Sun, it's crowned by it. It sits in the throne room. It gains the Sun's power, the Sun's protection, the Sun's blessing. Now imagine Pluto, the lord of the underworld, the keeper of secrets, the force that exposes everything we try to hide. Imagine it sitting in the heart of the Sun. What does that create? It creates the ultimate alchemical transformation. Your shadow isn't being rejected, it's being accepted. Your darkness isn't being condemned, it's being understood. Everything you've buried, suppressed, or been ashamed of is being brought into the light, not to punish you, but to set you free. This is why today feels different. This is why you might be experiencing sudden realizations about yourself, about your past, about patterns you've been running for years. The Kazemi is a purification chamber, and right now, you're in it. And here's what nobody tells you about this process. It's not gentle. Purification never is, but it's necessary, because what's being burned away today is everything that was never really you to begin with. The Hindu healer code hidden in this exact degree. Here's where things get even more interesting. Every degree of the zodiac has what's called a Sabian symbol, an ancient image that reveals the spiritual meaning of that specific point in space. The Sun and Pluto are meeting at 3 degrees and 25 minutes of Aquarius, which rounds up to 4 degrees. And the Sabian symbol for 4 degrees Aquarius, a Hindu healer, glows with a mystic healing power. Let that sink in for a moment. Out of 360 possible symbols, this conjunction, this rare, powerful, once-in-a-lifetime meeting, is happening on the degree of the healer. This completely changes the narrative. Most people think of Pluto as destructive, as the planet that tears everything apart. And yes, it does that. But what the Hindu healer symbol tells us is that destruction isn't the end point. Healing is. The healer in this symbol doesn't glow because everything in their life is perfect. They glow because they've mastered their energy. They've faced their shadows. They've done the inner work. They've learned to channel cosmic power through discipline, through stillness, through absolute commitment to truth. This is what today is offering you. Not chaos for the sake of chaos, but the kind of breakdown that leads to a breakthrough. The kind of crisis that leads to healing. The kind of death that leads to rebirth. And if you're one of the 3 signs about to experience total rebirth, this symbol is your instruction manual. The way through this isn't to fight the intensity, it's to become like the Hindu healer, centered, disciplined, glowing with a power that comes from within. Why Mars entering Aquarius makes this unstoppable. Remember what I said about Mars entering Aquarius just 71 minutes before the Sun met Pluto? Let's talk about why that matters. Mars is the planet of action. It's the warrior, the initiator, the force that says enough waiting, it's time to move. And in Aquarius, Mars becomes the revolutionary. It's the energy of uprisings, of breaking free from systems that no longer serve, of choosing freedom over safety. By entering Aquarius at the exact moment the Sun and Pluto are merging, Mars is acting like a detonator. It's the spark that ignites the fuel. It's the final push that sends you over the edge. Without Mars, this Sun-Pluto conjunction might stay internal. It might be a deep psychological shift, a quiet realization, something you process privately over time. But with Mars in the mix, this becomes kinetic. This becomes physical. This becomes action. You're not just thinking about change today, you're implementing it. Relationships that have been on life support might end today. Jobs that have been draining your soul might get quit today. Patterns you've been stuck in for years might shatter today. And here's the wild part. You might not even plan it. The action might just happen, almost like something else is moving through you, making decisions your conscious mind has been too afraid to make. That's Mars. That's the revolutionary energy saying we're not waiting anymore, we're not compromising anymore, we're choosing ourselves right now, no matter what it costs. The 3 signs getting total rebirth and why it's happening to you. Alright, here's what you've been waiting for. The 3 signs that are experiencing this transit not as observers, but as participants. Not as bystanders, but as the main characters. If you have your Sun, Moon or Rising sign in Aquarius, Scorpio or Leo, listen closely. Your life is being rewritten today and you need to understand why. Aquarius, you are the phoenix rising from the ashes. If you're an Aquarius, this is happening directly to you. The Sun, Pluto and Mars are all converging in your sign, in your first house of identity, appearance and physical body. This is as personal as it gets. For years, maybe your whole life, you've defined yourself by being different, by being the outsider, by rebelling against the mainstream. And that served you. But Pluto doesn't care about your rebellion. It cares about your truth. Today, you're being asked to stop defining yourself by what you're not and start claiming what you are. The death happening inside you right now is the death of the rebel persona. The birth is the sovereign self. You might feel an almost overwhelming surge of power today, like nuclear energy is coursing through your veins. You might look in the mirror and barely recognize yourself. That's because you're shedding a skin you've worn for decades. People are going to notice. You're becoming magnetic in a way that intimidates some and mesmerizes others. This isn't about being liked, it's about being real. And with Mars in your sign, you have the courage to be exactly that. Remember what I said about the Hindu healer? That's you today. You're glowing with a power that comes from finally accepting every part of yourself, the light and the shadow, the beautiful and the broken. You're whole now, and nothing will ever be the same. Scorpio, the ancestral chains are breaking. Scorpio, you might not feel this as intensely in your external world, but internally, you're undergoing a complete metamorphosis. And here's why. Pluto is your ruler. This is your planet merging with the sun in your fourth house, the house of home, family, roots, and the deepest parts of your psyche. Mars, your traditional ruler, is also involved, so both of your planetary rulers are activating each other in one of the most vulnerable areas of your chart. What's dying today isn't just your old self, it's generational patterns, it's ancestral trauma, it's the stories you inherited about who you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to love, what you're supposed to accept. You might find yourself suddenly unable to tolerate family dynamics that have always been toxic, but you've just accepted. You might feel an urgent need to physically move, to leave a place that's held you back. You might even experience memories surfacing. Childhood wounds, forgotten moments, things you buried because they were too painful to face. This is the purge. Pluto in your fourth house is clearing the foundation, digging up the basement, exposing everything that's been rotting underneath the surface. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Because once you clear the rot, once you sever the cords that have been draining your energy for generations, you build a foundation that's actually yours. You become the one who breaks the cycle. You become the ancestor your descendants will thank. The Hindu healer symbol is especially powerful for you, Scorpio. You're not just healing yourself, you're healing your entire bloodline. That's the level of transformation happening today. Leo, the mirror is forcing you to evolve. Leo, this one's going to hit different because you're not experiencing this transit in your own sign, you're experiencing it in your opposite sign, Aquarius. Specifically, in your seventh house of relationships, partnerships, and the people who mirror you. The sun is your ruler, and today it's merging with Pluto directly across from you. This means the transformation isn't happening to you, it's happening through others. You might encounter someone today, a partner, a rival, a collaborator, who triggers you in ways you can't ignore. They might challenge you, confront you, or simply reflect back to you the parts of yourself you haven't wanted to see. This is the death of egocentric relating. Leo, you're used to being the sun, the one everyone orbits, but Aquarius says, what about the collective? What about equality? What about partnership instead of monarchy? The transformation for you is learning that true power isn't about being worshipped, it's about empowering others. It's about stepping into relationships where you're not the only star in the sky. And here's the beautiful part. When you stop needing to be the center of attention, when you learn to shine alongside others instead of above them, you become even more magnetic. Because real royalty doesn't demand respect, it commands it naturally. Today, you might be forced to choose, stay in a dynamic where you're constantly performing for validation, or step into something real where you're loved for who you actually are. The Hindu healer energy tells you that the second option is where your power lives. What you're feeling right now and why it's so intense. Let's talk about the physical and emotional reality of today, because I know some of you are barely holding it together right now. You might be experiencing A pressure in your chest, like something is trying to break out from the inside. That's your authentic self pushing against the cage you've built around it. Sudden waves of emotion that don't seem connected to anything specific. Tears that come from nowhere. Anger that feels volcanic. That's old energy being released. An overwhelming urge to do something, even if you don't know what. That's Mars. That's the revolutionary inside you demanding action. Strange physical sensations, tingling, heat, cold flashes, pressure points activating in your body. That's the Cazimi. That's energy moving through your system in ways it never has before. Vivid dreams or disturbed sleep. Many of you probably woke up between 2 and 4 this morning. That's when the energy was building. That's when your subconscious was processing the shift before your conscious mind could catch up. A sense of unreality, like you're watching your life from outside yourself. That's because you're between timelines right now. The old version of you is dying, and the new version hasn't fully emerged yet. All of this is normal. All of this is part of the process. You're not losing your mind. You're finding your power. The shadow work happening whether you're ready or not. Here's what a lot of spiritual content won't tell you. Shadow work isn't always a choice. Sometimes the universe just shoves you into the cave and says, deal with it. Today is one of those days. The Cazimi is bringing everything you've suppressed into the light, the jealousy you pretend you don't feel, the ambition you've been taught to hide, the anger you've swallowed for years, the parts of yourself you've labeled as bad or wrong. Pluto doesn't care about your spiritual bypassing. It doesn't care if you've been meditating and journaling and doing all the right things. If there's something unintegrated, if there's a shadow you've been running from, today it catches up. And here's the paradox. This feels terrifying, but it's actually the most loving thing the universe can do for you. Because you can't be whole while parts of you are locked away in the basement. You can't be powerful while you're using half your energy to suppress what you don't want to see. The Hindu healer doesn't glow because they're perfect. They glow because they've made peace with their imperfection. They've looked at every dark corner of their soul and said, this is mine, this is human, this is part of the journey. That's what today is asking of you. Look at what's coming up. Don't run. Don't shame yourself. Don't try to shove it back down. Just witness it, acknowledge it, integrate it. Because once you do, once you accept the full spectrum of who you are, you become unstoppable. The shadow loses its power the moment you stop fighting it. What happens after today? The ripple effect you need to know. The Sun-Pluto conjunction is exact today, but the energy doesn't just disappear tomorrow. In fact, what's happening today is setting up a cascade of events that will unfold over the next few weeks and months. First, Neptune enters Aries on January 26th, just 3 days from now. This is another massive shift. Neptune hasn't been in Aries since the 1860s. When the planet of spirituality, dreams, and illusion moves into the sign of the warrior, we're entering an era of spiritual warfare, of fighting for faith, of activism rooted in mysticism. The Sun-Pluto Cazimi today is clearing the path for that. It's burning away the fog so the new spiritual fire can ignite. You're being purified today so you can be a warrior tomorrow. Second, the realizations you're having today, the patterns you're seeing, the truths you're confronting, they're going to demand follow-through. Pluto doesn't do superficial shifts. What's revealed today is revealed for a reason. You're going to have to act on it. Maybe you finally admit that relationship is over. Maybe you finally start the business you've been dreaming about. Maybe you finally set the boundary you've been too afraid to set. Whatever it is, today is the catalyst. The next few months are the execution. And third, if you're one of the 3 signs experiencing total rebirth, understand this. You're not going to fully recognize who you're becoming for a while. Transformation, this deep, takes time to integrate. You might feel raw, exposed, uncertain. That's okay. The phoenix doesn't emerge from the ashes fully formed. It takes time to spread its wings. The choice you have to make right now. Here's the truth nobody wants to say. You have a choice today. Not about whether this energy affects you, it does, whether you acknowledge it or not. But you have a choice about how you respond. You can resist. You can cling to the old version of yourself, the old patterns, the old life. You can try to white-knuckle your way through this and pretend everything is fine. And if you do, Pluto will just force the issue. It'll get louder, harder, more painful until you surrender. Or you can choose to work with this energy. You can choose to let go. You can choose to trust that whatever's falling apart needed to fall apart, and whatever's being born is what you've been waiting for all along. The Hindu healer made a choice once to dedicate themselves to the path, to discipline their mind and body, to channel cosmic power for healing instead of destruction. That choice is what makes them glow. You're being offered the same choice today. Will you use this intensity to heal, to grow, to become who you're meant to be, or will you let it consume you? The difference is simple. The people who choose to evolve through this transit become unstoppable. They step into a power they didn't know they had. They magnetize opportunities, relationships, and experiences that match their new frequency. The people who resist spend the next year wondering why nothing's working, why they feel stuck, why the universe seems to be against them. But the universe isn't against you. It's pushing you toward your highest self. It's just that sometimes the push feels like a shove. You are being initiated into a new timeline. Remember what I said at the beginning about feeling like reality has shifted? That's because it has. You're not in the same timeline you were in yesterday. The Sun-Pluto Cazimi with Mars as the trigger. This is a portal, a dimensional shift, an initiation. And initiations are never comfortable. They're designed to test you, to break you down so you can be rebuilt stronger. But on the other side, you're operating at a completely different level. Your intuition is sharper, your boundaries are clearer, your tolerance for bullshit is non-existent. You know what you want, and more importantly, you know what you're not willing to compromise on anymore. This is what total rebirth looks like. It's not a gentle evolution, it's a quantum leap. And if you're one of the 3 signs experiencing this most intensely, you're going to look back on today as the day everything changed. But even if you're not one of those 3 signs, this energy is touching you. It's impossible to exist on this planet today and not feel the shift. The question is, are you going to be conscious of it, or are you going to let it happen to you without awareness? The people who are aware, who are paying attention, who are willing to do the work, they're the ones who step into their power. They're the ones who use this Cazimi moment to purify, to heal, to transform. The rest will just wonder why they feel so off, so restless, so done with everything, and they'll miss the opportunity entirely. The Sun meets Pluto once a year, but this time is different. I want to address something important. Yes, the Sun conjuncts Pluto every year, so what makes today special? 3 things. 1. This is happening in Aquarius, a sign Pluto will only occupy for about 20 years out of every 248-year cycle. This is generational energy, not personal. 2. Mars entered Aquarius within the same hour, creating that triple trigger I mentioned. That doesn't happen every year. And 3. This is a Cazimi. The Sun and Pluto are merging at the exact degree within minutes of arc. That level of precision is rare. But beyond the astronomical specifics, there's something else, there's a feeling. If you're sensitive to energy at all, you know today is different. You can feel it in your body, in the air, in the way reality seems slightly tilted. Trust that feeling. You're not making it up. You're tuning into something real, something powerful, something that's going to ripple through the rest of this year and beyond. This is the kind of day that 5 years from now, you'll look back on and say, that's when everything changed. That's when I finally chose myself. That's when I stopped pretending and started living. But only if you're willing to step into it. Only if you're willing to let the old version of you die so the new one can be born. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below, especially if you're one of the 3 signs experiencing total rebirth today. Let's support each other through this transformation. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.